JayCast.
3, 2, 1, go.
JayCast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to JayCast, where there's games, guests, a creeper, and two guys with big headphones. Mine underneath this, so. How's it going today, Yeti?
It's pretty good. That's what happens when you play around with a creeper thing, and you forget that your headphones are on.
So, yeah, this is a bright, unintentional moment. Since everybody kept calling my hair ugly, I decided that I was going to go with the creeper head, and then as I slid it on top of my head partially, I ended up making the discovery that my head kind of fell into it. So I'm going to do the podcast like this today. So awesome! I hope you guys are excited as much as I am, because Creeper me is excited as can be. Because we've got like a million topics today, and I'm pumped as all get out.
Creeper me as excited as can be.
Oh, okay. Okay, now I'm going to rephrase that. Minecraft Creeper me is excited. I don't know if I made that any better or worse for myself, but let's just roll with it. How are you today, Yeti?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. This probably sounds really bad with the acoustics right now.
Yeah, you can't really get that effect when you have Vogue.
This is a cardboard cutout right now. If you guys were just curious. On the bright side is I can't blow into my mic anymore.
You'll just be stuck in a cage of your own breath.
Why? Why did I have garlic before I started recording? I can't see anything right now.
Your creeper looks like he has brown pupils.
Yeah, because that's the cardboard that's underneath it. It's really supposed to be the head cutout. Ah, jeez. Okay, I'm gonna take. Well, that was easier than expected. Okay, so enough fooling around today. Welcome to the podcast, guys. We have games, guests, and two guys with headphones, as usual. Today we have no guests again because we have a lot of freaking topics that we want to talk about today instead of an awesome guest. Just because we don't have a guest today doesn't mean that you can't apply for one. Tweet me at JayCast42 if you have a local YouTube channel that you think is worthy to be a guest on JayCast. And I do follow a lot of people back on Twitter. I actually have a lot of people that are local YouTubers, and they will actually follow me. And then if I follow them back and I check out their channel, that's usually how I get a lot of the guests that come onto here. The coast. Hilarious.
Anyway.
So, let's get on today's topics. We have a lot to go through today. The World of Warcraft and subscriptions is starting to become free now? What? That is getting crazy up here.
Well,
GDC.
kind of.
Yeah, true. GDC 2015 is a thing this week. We're going to be recapping on a lot of the main things, mainly regarding the Steam virtual reality and also the, Project Morpheus for the Sony headquarters. And we're going to be talking about virtual reality for that aspect. And we're also going to be looking into, we're going to talk a little bit about PAX East. Nothing special about that because sadly we had to record this early. I'm going to be out in Wisconsin next week. So,
Wisconsin.
in the cheese state. So I can't record anything up there. I'm not going to be able to bring any of my equipment. And quite frankly, the acoustics in the house that I'll be staying at is so terrible. So I'm going to make sure that I get everything recorded before I go over there. And that way I don't get interruptions either. Because the place I'm going at has 2 kids, or 3 kids actually. And I can just imagine what that's going to be like. I'm going to be in the middle of recording and all of a sudden one is going to jump in and be like, "Oh my gosh, hi!"
Because kids think that like a camera means famous.
Camera, I'm famous. I'm on YouTube now. Yeah, that's the logic behind that. But yeah, anyway, this week's very exciting for us overall. GDC was, I think it was a great success this year. There's a lot of awesome things behind it. I think the main highlight, like we said, was the Steam and the Project Morpheus virtual reality headsets that went on. And also that Xbox was talking about their full integration of platforming. So with PC and console can finally unite and kiss. Hey, that's inappropriate. Anyway.
Virtually. Think about that with video games. I mean, think about, you know what I'm talking about.
I was going to take that a little bit further, but I think for the sake of our podcast integrity, I probably shouldn't. Anyway, before we get on to weird sexual innuendos and have a strange podcast where I have to say games, guests, and sexual innuendos, let's get on with our first topic. World of Warcraft is, without subscriptions is coming, yet the new system seems a little weird, don't you think?
I don't really. It's still a little confusing to me, even though I've read over it like 2 or 3 times.
Right. It seems this is what I understand. You get what's called a WoW token, and that WoW token gives you 30 more days. So it's not like this whole subscription that you buy is like $30 or whatever. It's just this one token that you get from it.
And you can either buy it with real money, or if you're one of those people who loves to have just a lot of gold in game, you can buy it with in-game gold too. So if you're good enough in the game, you can just keep earning money in game and buying tokens and never have to pay for another thing.
But again,
Wow.
I'm pretty sure that your level has got to be very, very high though if you actually want that opportunity, or just know how to pillage, I guess. Forgive me, I have not played World of Warcraft. I don't intend to. So just know that for in advance. I just understand enough of that.
I would like to keep my life and hygiene.
I would. Great description for it.
We've lost all of our WoW demographic.
And our old grandpas and WoW demographic are gone.
We're just going down the list.
In the background, you don't see it. There's a list of people that we have ticked off on JayCast. And so far, we're down to we got old grandpas and WoWs off of our list. Next, we've got hipsters and
everybody else.
Yeah, everybody else. That's literally what it says. Everybody else.
ERR
Let me pull a JonTron reference. Let me make a chart for it. All of them. Everybody else.
I don't know that one.
Okay. Well, you don't clearly watch. You don't clearly watch high quality entertainment. So.
I watch Game Grumps.
Okay, you're all right then. YouTubing. So anyway, World of Warcraft is definitely something I didn't really find that particularly interesting. I just wanted to mention that as kind of like a side note to start out this week's podcast. The real thing we're going to be talking about today is the Steam and the Sony virtual reality headsets. Are you ready, Mr. Yeti Hyrule?
I'm ready as Freddy.
Ooh!
Ready as Freddy.
Oh, thank you for that wonderful reminder as well. I don't think that was intentional. Before I talk about GDC, let's talk about Five Nights at Freddy's 3 released this week. What do you think?
I don't think it's as scary.
Have you seen gameplay for it or played it yourself?
I've played it.
Okay.
It's not as scary.
All right.
It's definitely a lot more. There's a lot more to it. Like, have you seen or played it?
I have seen the entire playthrough of it. I've seen every aspect of it. The special endings, the bad endings, the alternate endings, the mini games for it. I've seen everything for it. So
the creepiest thing about it was the mini game.
It's weird as can be. Let me explain what this year is. So there's 5 nights and a nightmare mode. There's not a 2020 mode. There's just a nightmare and 5 nights that you can play. This is an attraction this time, if I understand correctly. That basically the customers are trying to get the experience of the super spooky, eerie Five Nights at Freddy's that it was back in the day.
It's like Five Nights at Freddy'sception.
Yeah, exactly. And again, you're a security guard. You're in one room. There's one.
You play
room.
as you're part of the attraction, and like your character in the attraction is the security guard.
Yep, exactly. You literally play as a puppet in this game. If you want to think about it like that, like you're almost in like this enclosed area, and people watch you do this for their entertainment. And yeah, if you die, they actually don't have a problem with that. They're like, "Oh, you died. Just don't get blood on the suit, so that people aren't scared. So it's a little screwed up as well. Let's see. And you start out in this area. You got one room on the side now, and there's a window that goes across, and you just see every so often you see Freddy just like with his head down walking towards you. Yes. And you just see Freddy just walking towards you. It is so screwed up.
Well, there's one. I don't know who, because I've only seen the first 2 nights. The one that looks like a golden Bonnie. Sometimes you'll see him or her, like
that
prance across the window out of your peripheral vision.
Yep. Oh my goodness, I hate if there's a name for it, please put it in the link, the comment section. I actually don't think anybody's actually come up with a name yet, or has been released yet. But basically, all the animatronics this year are the scariest that they've ever looked. They're not trying to be cute. They're not trying to be what they were in 2. They weren't trying to be regular like they were in 1. These things are dirted up, blood-stained,
Which actually makes sense because they were created for the attraction as opposed to being animatronics at a pizza place.
Exactly. It was... I will say it is very cool how they did the animatronics this year. And it's very interesting. I don't know if I'm able to talk about how exactly the jump scares work in this game. I don't know. Would you consider that a spoiler if I mentioned that?
Well, you can just be like, spoiler alert, and then like put in an annotation of skip to here to skip spoilers or something like that.
Or click on this link to subscribe.
Click here to skip spoilers and it takes you
click here to skip spoilers. It's a confirmation for a subscribe link. No, let me explain basically how this works. I won't try to ruin the game.
I'm not exactly
I won't try to ruin the game for you. So please forgive me if you do not like what we're saying. Skip ahead to about a minute from now, and you'll be good. You'll be good from the explanation because I'm not going to try to go deep into depth of this. So skip a minute ahead as of this current moment. I just shook everything. All right, so basically this is how this works. From what I've seen, so you get one actual jump scare, and there's a lot of jump scares, but there's one actual thing that will kill you, and it is the golden Bonnie looking creature. That's the only way that you will be able to end the game. Every so often, you will get a random jump scare that will end up causing your ventilation system to break. That's when Balloon Boy, Bonnie Chica, or Foxy will come out and jump at you, and you'll white out for a second, and you'll start breathing heavy, and you have to reset your ventilation system. You have to reboot all the systems for it. Which I don't know why it does that. I guess you just hallucinate and see things when your ventilation system goes bad. It has the vents again, and basically this time you have to track where this golden Bonnie sort of looking creature is, and you basically have to track it and see where it's going in the system. You actually have to use the camera system this time to actually follow where it goes. You can use a Balloon Boy as a sound to play in another room so that you can actually avoid being attacked by that golden Bonnie looking creature.
That's one thing I do like is the reboot system, because as opposed to having to worry about a general power like you do in all of them, this one is more like if you use the cameras for too long of a prolonged period, they'll kind of go out, but you can reboot it immediately.
Right.
And same thing with the audio systems.
When they go out, yeah, you used to reboot it. Now, of course, there's obviously the sacrifice of that sake being.
The thing is, when you have to reboot it, though, you bring up the reboot screen and you can't put it down.
Yeah, exactly. You have to stay there until everything's set. So, and sometimes you get all 3 of them out, and it just takes forever, and you just better hope that you took care of everything before you walked into this. That's all I can tell you. You just better have done your stuff. But I actually really like the game mechanics this year. And if you also don't know, when you play and you get to the next level, so between nights. Excuse me one sec. So when you get between levels, they play a mini game, and this mini game you will play as one of the 3 main animatronics: Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica, if I'm correct on that. And then eventually you play as Foxy too. But the main 3, you have to follow this Freddy, the Golden Freddy, I think it is. I think you have to follow him, or it's like a Black Freddy or something like that.
It was the thing is purple.
Oh, thank you. It was a purple-looking creature, and you followed, and it didn't even look like an actual animatronic. But
it's all pixelated, by the way.
And so you walk into the room, you follow him, you find out it's an error, you can't go into this room, and as you start walking away, he basically destroys you every single level. So he'll destroy Bonnie, he'll destroy Chica, he'll destroy Freddy. Eventually he'll destroy Foxy. And if you are not careful, there's actually small Easter eggs in each level that you have to click on to go into a mini game, and you have to defeat that mini game in order to finally attain the good ending. There's like 4 or 5 mini games you have to play. Yeah. And
I wasn't aware there were different endings.
Oh yeah, when you get to the end, that's actually the bad ending if you just straight up play the 5 nights and you don't play those mini games. It's actually it's a true story. And for you to get the good ending, it's there's not a polar difference, but you'll feel a little empty when you discover the end. And that's why I didn't want people to like watch this and just be like, you know, spoiler alert or whatever. Because the ending can be different this year, and I think that Scott did a fantastic job of that. So, kudos to you, Scott, and I'll probably be playing that for live stream entertainment sometime in the future. So, yeah, there's 2 channels I watched on that. I'm not going to mention the names, but there's 2 channels that I watched, and one of them did the complete playthrough, and like they had to write all this down, like how to get to the good ending. Like, it's like you go to this camera, click on this photo, takes you to this minigame, and also, on a side note, don't take the actual exit, go on the outside of it, fall down, go outside there, and then you'll find the last balloon. That's one of the levels. You wouldn't know that unless someone told you. I'm being dead serious on that.
So going through the arrow door and walking away and being destroyed makes you like lose the minigame?
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that crazy? You would
How are you supposed to know that?
That's exactly the thing. That's like a walkthrough, like someone's got to tell you that sort of thing.
I hate when games do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
like at least if there's a subtle hint somewhere, but not if it's like just completely. You have to know. You have to just.
Well,
know.
you know, it is a point and click adventure, so I'm not necessarily like upset about it because I knew it was going to do something similar to it. But again, you really wouldn't know that unless you seriously took the time, because like you have to go to like night 4 and do this stuff, and it's a little crazy that your concern is to try to find the next mini game on night 4. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, when you beat this mini game inside the game, not on the end of the game, but the inside of the game, you have to go back and restart that level. So like, let's say you're in night 2 and you click on the poster, you do the level, you come back, you have to do night 2 of night 2 again, basically.
That sucks.
I mean, it's still nice though. I'm
I
serious.
mean, if you know exactly where it is, then I guess you don't really waste that much time within the night.
Right. Yeah, the ending portion is kind of crazy behind it, but yeah, you'll see a pretty decent ending, a pretty decent change in the ending when you get into it. So just a side note for any of you people that are curious and avid Five Nights at Freddy's people. That wasn't even an intentional topic, but let's make a transition over to talking about GDC and the virtual reality headsets. I meant to talk about that, but thank you for reminding me about the Five Nights at Freddy's. I wanted to make sure to talk about that this week too, because everybody's hyped about this game, right?
I don't know why.
Because it's like Slender. It's like when Slender came out, man. I mean, seriously, how many copies of Slender was there made? You can tell a game is popular by how many freaking copies people make of these games, you know? That's the one thing I'm a little bit upset about, because I am tired of going on GameJolt and seeing like 35 copies of Five Nights at Freddy's. Copies, by the way. I mean like Five Nights at Krusty Krabs. Five Nights at
Wario's.
Five Nights at Wario. I mean, I love that you love the game, but come on, just get original again. Like, for the love of Pete, it was more fun when we didn't have a popular game to just have people copy the engine out of, you know? It's very rare that I'm starting to see actual legitimate good horror games now back in the GameJolt community.
Well, that's because nowadays a good horror game constitutes completely new mechanics. That's what everybody loved about Five Nights at Freddy's, was that there were no other games that had that kind of game mechanic within it.
Now everybody takes over that, and then it's back to trying to find an originality piece again.
No other popular, well-known games. I'm sure there are other games that had the same mechanics, but they just didn't hit it off like Five Nights at Freddy's did.
Yep. It is a little bit upsetting about that, but anyway, let's seriously make the transition to GDC. Now. Sorry about that. Anyway, so GDC was extremely exciting this week. I think it was a very, very good success personally. Would you agree on that?
For the VR universe, maybe.
That's true. That's very true. I also liked seeing what Xbox had to say about their potential to change in their platforming. We talked about a couple weeks ago in our podcast about the fact that Microsoft, when they launched Windows 10, is finally going to get into the gaming side into the universal side of Windows 10, meaning that your phone one day will be like your console in the same system, where you'll be able to treat both things in equal format and be able to play and to do whatever else on any system that you choose. And that's kind of what they're shooting for when they talked about at their GDC panel as well. They basically were saying the same things that we kind of mentioned earlier. Their plan is they want to make it so that when you're playing on your PC, it's exactly like you're playing on the Xbox. And we want to be able to play and theoretically have a quote-unquote Xbox Live and have that Xbox Live ready so that people can play on the PC and they can also play on the Xbox One and have universal standpoint so that people don't get upset about it and have to go into a console war or PC war.
There's a condition in which I would not agree with this at all.
Okay.
I agree with the fact that like if you buy a game on Xbox, you'll be able to turn around and play it on your PC.
Yep.
And vice versa. What I do not agree with is that if if you play the games, if Xbox players can play online with PC users, I don't want that to happen.
Is that what is the reason that you don't like that?
Because they've done that before, and it was a disaster. Because whenever you play like a first-person shooter, like if they do it without first-person shooters, I'll be okay with it. But whenever you play a first-person shooter on PC,
oh, yep, I see where we're going with
it's
this.
just the PC players just completely destroy the console players.
I see exactly.
Just
what
because
you're
it's
going
so
with
much
now.
easier to navigate and aim on a PC than it is with a controller.
Yep, I completely agree with what you just said. I actually did not take that into account, but I agree with you a lot. And see, here's the other thing too. So obviously they talk about this aspect of having Xbox Live for your PC now, right? Here's my problem. We have Steam on the PC. I pay Steam free. Okay? I get my games through it. I go in-game transactions. Everything there, except for that aspect, is free. I go into Xbox and I'm going to start paying money. If that problem persists, that's going to just keep everybody separated. The window of opportunity can be there, but no one's going to take it. Because quite frankly, if I can get Call of Duty Advanced Warfare for the same exact price and have a free account to play online with, would I not want to do that?
That is true. I think this is more of just like this isn't going to be like a main revolutionizing thing. I think it's just so people can play like Xbox exclusive games on their PC as opposed to like stuff like Killer Instinct. I would love to play Killer Instinct on like if I can get Xbox Live.
That.
If I can get Xbox Live on my PC, I might do it because I don't have an Xbox, but I already have a PC.
Exactly. See, that side I love. I love to death that side where you can play a game on there. But like I said, to have that Xbox Live, that kind of cuts me a little bit because I don't really want to, pay for that extra something that I have for free. You know what I mean?
But if you already have an Xbox and Xbox Live, why not be able to play your Xbox games on your PC?
If I have it, yes. If I have Xbox Live and an Xbox One, yes. But like I said, let's say I'm not that person. I don't have an Xbox One. I don't have Xbox Live. There's a side of us that's going to go, I'm a Steam user. I'm sorry. But yes, I see exactly what you're talking about. But when it gets to...
You don't need Xbox Live to play, games that aren't online, though.
There
are a lot of Xbox exclusives that aren't online.
That's very true. I'm kind of just going with like the general like Call of Duty and Halo sort of.
Oh
thing.
Yeah.
So like that's the side that I'm taking right now is the multiplayer side. But yes, when it comes to campaign, anything like that, yes, that's totally cool with it.
I guess that is appropriate because I am a very avid player of RPGs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So that's the side that I'm just playing off of, and the other thing too is I would be interested to see if there was any way that Steam and Microsoft could actually get together and try to incorporate a way that they can make that actually free.
they've had to have talked at least at some point about, like, they had to have
Well,
collaborated and discussed it at some
they're
point by now.
they're in a console area. I mean, obviously, fantastic computers, but I'm saying they're starting to enter into the side of PC gaming even stronger. They're gonna have to start merging with Steam if they like it or not. If they want to walk into that territory, they're gonna have to. Steam has been around for years, man. Gabe Newell's not gonna walk away for no reason. It's not like as if it's just gonna be just a blow out of the water.
I'm also wondering if this is gonna like hurt Xbox sales.
It probably will, to be honest with you. But at the same time, though, see, like me as seeing I'm seeing at the retail side of things because I work as a retail business. The people that go and buy a console are people that don't want to spend the extra couple $100 to get a better PC to play these games. So it might also not hurt the sales as well. Because you might also have PC games that might translate back to the game. It's possible. Not often, but it's possible.
But it's like for people who already have PCs, like
Yeah,
if you
people
own,
that-
if you
they're not
if you own a PC and you have the opportunity to buy Xbox games and have them on your PC,
Yeah, I would never buy an Xbox.
I'm not gonna go out and get an Xbox if I can buy Xbox games for my PC.
Exactly. Because I can literally have the same exact specs and twice as much opportunity to change around my settings. See, that was one thing that I think a lot of people don't understand about PC gaming is that there's a side of us that we like to have a little bit of control with our game. Something's not running correctly. We can dumb it down a little bit or enhance it a little bit. We can have that option to control it. It's an expensive piece that we have there, but goodness gracious.
But then again, on console, it doesn't happen that often because everything is controlled for you.
Right. And it's simple, but like I said, I'd rather have things on my end of control.
Unless you're playing Fallout and Skyrim for PS3.
True.
Because then things go down the hill fast.
Yep, that is for sure. But that is Xbox has definitely got some huge potential in the future.
We could probably go into that for hours.
We really could. We really could go into a PC and Xbox. Let's talk about that. Let's start with the Steam. Let's start with Steam because we kind of had a little bit of conversation about them before. So basically, as you guys saw, Steam it's kind of it looks very interesting for me. I'm gonna pull up a picture for this later on when I do some post editing. So at this point here,
it looks like it has like bug eyes on the front of it.
Yeah, exactly. It was very interesting to see what exactly that was. I'm gonna make a quick note that I have to put something down for this around this time. But basically, I thought this was really, really cool of the design. In my opinion, I thought it was a cool design. By HTC, I'm still a little skeptical. I know you and I talked about it a little bit before the podcast, but I'm still a little about it. What are your thoughts on this Steam virtual reality set?
The main thing that makes me think it's going to be better than, at least better than Oculus, is that there are people who have talked about using it. Like they, first of all, they had a hands-on full room Steam VR like demo session at GDC this year, and a lot of it was like behind closed doors, so like it wasn't open for everybody to see.
Wow, you just started breaking up. Hold on one second before you decided to die. Thanks, Skype. Let's see. I think you're okay now.
Am I good now?
Nope, you're not. Everything's dying. Everything is dying. We talked about Gabe Newell. We're gonna die. While we wait for you to recover, I'll talk about what exactly occurs. So you were talking about how there was a development side of things, that they're making a huge potential for. Try talking now.
Am I good now?
Yeah, you're good now. You're back to normal. Thank goodness.
Okay.
Gabe Newell, you're awesome. Okay, let's continue on before the internet breaks again.
The demo was done behind closed doors, so it wasn't open for everybody to see.
Okay.
And a lot of the like, I don't know what you call it, the things people said about it, reviews, I guess, were that it was somebody who has a lot of problem with motion sickness was playing and didn't really have any motion sickness problems.
Very,
which was
very
not
good
the case
to
with
hear.
Oculus.
Which is an extreme promise to hear, by the way. Because that's the one concern a lot of people talk about when they have motion sickness problems is that They
Because
don't.
Oculus kind of had a skewed, like it looked like VR, but it still looked like it was a video game. This
Yep.
makes me think that this looks a lot more natural. It looks like you're actually looking inside the game, as opposed to just looking at a screen that's right here.
Versus what Project Morpheus looks like. We'll talk about that in just a second. But
I
the
think
the
Morpheus looks
design
like it came out of iRobot.
the design is interesting. You'll see it down below underneath us here. I'll put the little picture. It's right by where the JayCast banner is going to be at. I'm going to put it right there so you guys can check it out. So let me explain what this picture represents. On the bottom left-hand side, you'll see these two laser sensors. These are actually what designate the safe area of your virtual reality headset. So you put these things down, and it'll actually designate a certain, I guess, square area of which that you'll be able to walk around in. Because I think they're optimizing it so you can actually walk around in this one. Am I correct on that?
I have no idea.
Because from what I looked through, it sounded like that they have the ability to do that with these sensors, especially because I know they're trying to make the full on hand experience that they try to do. It's kind of like what Microsoft HoloLens is trying to do, where you can walk around the area and sort of see things as you go. They're sort of doing that. Don't quote me on that, but they're sort of following that sort of look to it. But anyway, so these controllers are kind of interesting. That they're kind of designed as just like regular hand grips, but then there's like this little piece on the top here, as you guys can see down below.
Yeah, what is that?
Those are the handles. I don't know what the top is. It's probably so that the sensors can read it better when you walk around. Because again, it's not like as if these things are just here for target area zone. Those laser sensors will track you as you're walking as well. So this thing's kind of crazy. I really like this Steam Virtual Reality headset, to be honest with you. I'm still about the HTC part of it because I know them as a mobile phone industry. I don't know how they got incorporated into the virtual reality set. So there's a side of me that's kind of going right now. So like I said, I'm not against what exactly it looked like. It looked beautiful as they were talking about in GDC, but again, we're not sure. But what I was mentioning before about the lasers is that when in that safe zone, if you walk outside of that safe zone, there'll actually be this little red tracker that'll tell you, "Hey, idiot, you're going outside of the box." That's basically what it'll say. Not actual quote, but you know what I mean. I don't know. Let me get a little more feedback about you. What do you think about this Steam situation?
I'm not really sure because I don't know why everybody's trying to jump on the VR bandwagon. Like, is Steam...
Yeah, it's weird how that's starting to become a thing now. Anyway, continue.
I just don't understand why... Like, are you only going to be able to use the Steam VR headset with Steam stuff and only be able to use Morpheus with Sony stuff and only be able to use HoloLens with Microsoft stuff and
the Oculus Rift with only certain Oculus Rift supported games?
Yeah.
Here's my thing. I really badly wish this was what happened. Oculus Rift. Well, first of all, they were purchased by Facebook, correct?
Yes.
First of all, I wish that didn't ever happen. Thanks, Zuckerberg. I appreciate you doing that. For what reason, I don't know, because I don't really follow why you would purchase them out of it anyway. I don't get that. But anyway, that's a totally different topic. I really wish that the Oculus Rift would be the main source of virtual reality right now. And I think that people are starting to see the market for the Oculus Rift, but it's still not popular because it's a $300 piece of equipment that people don't want to buy. I mean, again, like I said, it's $300. I remember listening to a podcast a while back, and they basically said that, if this thing was in retail reason, meaning, $100, $150, people would start buying these things. But like I said, do I want to spend $300 for this thing? No, I don't. I mean, just to be honest with you,
it's just a flashy toy you're going to use once a month.
I mean, this is my thought. What sort of games can I put on my Oculus Rift right now if I bought it? Just go ahead and start listing them.
I have no idea.
There's a couple simple games you can get from online. There's a couple of them that have virtual reality support, and that's about it. So I don't have any gain out of it. I literally can play a couple indie games that I can look around in. That's right now what the situation is. And the step up needs to be not necessarily toward the people making these stupid virtual reality headsets. They need to start working on Oculus Rift. That's the main platform we go off of. Now let's make supported games for it. And so, like, broad example. let's make it so that someone plays Alien. Oh no, wait, this is already a thing. My bad. Someone plays, I don't know, Assassin's Creed, and they want to play in a virtual reality sense. Make support for that. Do something with that development so that people can play that as a virtual reality as well.
That's also a thing.
Assassin's Creed is also a thing?
Yeah.
I know Alien Isolation and Assassin's Creed already had development for it.
We talked about it.
Oh,
before.
yes. But that's a totally different thing. I'm saying having support for the Oculus though. That's just a little face tracker.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's just a face tracker. I'm talking about like full support for the Oculus, and I know someone created it so that the Alien Isolation game could actually do that, which I thought was insane because that game's already creepy enough outside of virtual reality.
Played that game.
I've seen a playthrough of it now, and it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. I will say that I would recommend that game myself. But like I said, for my standpoint is companies stop making your own virtual reality thing. Shut up and start working on the fact that, let's start getting together and let's start making games that are supported for it. Microsoft, for the love of Pete, just get to work. You don't need to make your own sort of thing. I said the wrong company. Microsoft can make their HoloLens because it's not going to be the same thing. My bad. Let me correct myself. Sony and Steam don't make your own set. I don't know why they did. I like it. Let me get that straight. I like it.
See, I'm actually in kind of approval for Steam making their VR set.
For the development purpose as well, I assume.
Mainly because there are so many Steam games.
True.
If they make it so you can play most of these Steam, at least stuff like, Skyrim.
Yeah, if you can make it compatible. I see your point behind that. I see your point behind that. I like that.
If they make Steam games that are already out VR compatible, then I'm in complete support of this thing. But if it's only like we're going to make it and then start making VR games, then I don't know about that.
Half-Life 3 confirmed. If you could do a virtual reality of Half-Life 3.
That's not happening.
I know. Someone joked with that the other day because I know there's a new Source engine that's coming out as well. That's not necessarily for Steam, but it's going to be used by Steam for certain games. So
speaking of engines, the Unreal Engine, Unreal 4 now is free.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they made it so that developers have a more unique sense and opportunity.
Yeah, I read it and downloaded it immediately just in case they were like, "Oh, it's not free anymore."
The temporary thing. Yeah. That great choice. But yeah, that's a side note. We'll talk about that another time. But I see your point, so I like that Steam. Now I'm starting to like that Steam. Dang it, you made me change my opinion. I like that Steam.
Maybe for Sony,
no,
but the Sony
I'm still against for
controller,
Sony.
The PS4 controller is already so immersive, and you can do so much with it. It's like, why? I will admit that the Morpheus looks pretty slick.
Oh, good grief! Down below, right here. Let's see, about 15 minutes after that. I make notes so that when I do post editing, I'm not watching a whole hour's worth of video to get 2 parts where I have to put a picture in.
I'm making more work for you.
But
I should start naming. Oh, you guys should see this and this too.
And that's when I'll go. And Yeti is now going to edit this new thing. Anyway, as I was saying, so as you guys will see down below, this thing is crazy. I think this is the sleekest design that I've seen for the virtual reality headset, but I still don't like it. I'm sorry. Make it supported for the Oculus Rift.
Maybe they'll surprise us with something.
Like, Oculus Rift right now is for the PC, and that is it. Make it so that they can expand their opportunity. This is why I'm mad that Facebook took them over, by the way. Because they're all my Facebook now.
Facebook is not a game designer.
Who gives a rat's behind about freaking Facebook owning Oculus Rift? Oculus Rift hurt them themselves because they did that, Google bought YouTube. That made sense because Google was a big search engine, and they made YouTube even bigger from that aspect, and also made partnerships even bigger, and from that aspect as well. Who bought Twitch? Amazon?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, I think
I didn't know Twitch was bought out by anybody.
I won't talk about that then, because I don't want to state wrong facts. Basically, they got bought out by somebody, and now they're improving as well on their content behind it. So, what has Facebook done to Oculus so far?
Maybe it was a thing where Oculus, like the developers of Oculus, realized it wasn't going that far, and Facebook gave them like naively gave them an offer because they're not game developers. So maybe it was like they gave them an offer because they thought
Oculus
they could do
Rift
something with it.
HQ guy, I'm going to tell you this right now. You market the crap out of anything, and it'll start working. I don't care what you say to disclaim that. Look at iPhones. That is my prime example. How many people have an iPhone today? And how many people complain about an iPhone?
Apple is like a multi-billionaire company or billion-dollar company.
But it all starts with that one advertisement, though. If you have the money for it, you can do it. And if it's a small name, again, give it out to even a couple more extra YouTubers. I mean, big names have it. Give it to a couple moderate names for it. And that way more and more people are submersed by it. That's free advertising right there. You give them a thing and they're going to be like, oh yeah, I'll make a couple videos for it. That's free advertisement. This is why Nintendo doesn't like us. Because they...
In other words, Facebook give us Oculus Rift.
Thanks, Zuckerberg. No,
Zuckerberg.
I like it. I like it. I like it. I don't know. I'm just I don't get why, and I wonder if it's just because it was really a money purpose that they bought that, because I'm seriously not seeing the reason why Facebook
maybe Facebook just gave them a bigger offer than they should have, and then Oculus was like, yeah, sure, give us a couple of however like $1 billion or however much you gave us.
Yeah, sure, cha-ching. Yeah, sure, cha-ching. They sold out. If they sold out for the money for it, I'd have a lot less respect for it. And in that case, then I would tell everybody to make a virtual reality set. Not literally, for the record. That would be obvious. Like I said, I find it a little bit upsetting how this has all turned out for Facebook, because now they're part of this probably billion-dollar company, I assume. So and they haven't done any marketing for it. It's like, you have the money supply now for it. Why aren't you using it? I mean, seriously.
Well, now because all the other stuff is coming out.
Or if they really badly wanted to do this, and this would be adventurous, by the way, so let me go out on record and say that. Make something that's similar to Steam style and make it supported for the Oculus Rift. So you can just basically get all your games that you want.
I don't know. EA has already
see
done that with Origin.
That's true.
And it sucks.
That's true. That's true. I'm just saying that's my adventure side talking. I don't know if that would be...
I think Steam is going to forever be the one and only, thing.
Well, I mean, how many people Photoshop Gabe Newell as Jesus? I'm sorry, but I think it's gotten to that point, so... Make Half-Life 3! Good grief.
He doesn't know how to count to 3. Speaking of VR headsets, what are your opinions on Nintendo? Like, there's no.
I love that you brought this up.
There's no word of Nintendo making one, but like the debate of whether or not they should.
The thing is, so obviously Microsoft's got the HoloLens. Sony's got the Project Morpheus. I'm not going to be able to talk them out of this. I'm sorry, I don't have enough popular opinion. Steam's got their own headset. So it's going to be almost pressured that Nintendo makes their own. I mean, think about it. All major companies of a video game industry all now have or will have their own virtual reality headset. I think it's imminent that Nintendo is going to eventually have their own VR headset. Quite frankly, it's probably going to be what it was before, and it's probably going to suck. Or there could also be a huge leap, and they might make the best out of it. I'm going back a couple of years ago. The motion control gaming was a non-existent thing at the time, right? The Nintendo Wii came along, changed the industry. So, what I'm saying is, could they, if they put enough time, effort, and money, could they develop something that's even better than anything that's out there? That's my thought.
I'm currently reading an article called "This is what Nintendo Shigeru Miyamoto thinks of virtual reality,"
Oh boy.
and I don't
please,
think I don't
please,
unless
please.
well unless you pause it so I can read all of it. Like, I don't think I can get through all of it enough to form a really good opinion. But it looks like he's a little bit uneasy about it and isn't suggesting that he will not do it, but he is a little bit against it, which I'm glad. My opinion on it before I read this was I really hope they don't make a VR headset, mainly because like Nintendo has held true to what I like most about video games. Like all these games like Skyrim and Call of Duty are making things look as realistic as possible. And I want to go back to my favorite franchise and think about the Zelda games. The newest Zelda games have amazing graphics. They're all in HD. They all look amazing, but they don't look realistic. They still keep that video game, like maybe not
Video
cartoony.
game. Yeah, I was gonna describe it as
style.
cartoon, but it's not. That's probably a
It's
lack
like-
of a better term, sort of.
It's like a fantasy style.
yeah.
They don't try and make even Skyrim. All they try to make all the people look real.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I love how when video games look like they're in a fantasy universe, like the Zelda series, which has been held true up until the most recent one.
Yep.
And if they've kept true to that. They haven't tried to make games where everything looks super realistic, or like they have, but it's not their main thing.
I wish that.
And if they start doing VR, I feel like they might start going in that direction.
Mm-hmm. I actually wish that Nintendo would have the opportunity to incorporate both of them, honestly. Like you said, Super Mario, Legend of Zelda, especially that sort of section of gaming, people want to make sure that that stays the way it is. And they have every reason for it. It makes complete sense for it. A kid that's growing up, they're gonna enjoy the regular cartoony graphics. Again, lack of a better term, I'm using that for, so I apologize if that's inaccurate. But at the same time, though, I would like to see them adventure and make a game a little more realistic. Now, let me clarify. I don't want it looking like Skyrim, though. I want it to have that fantasy side of me. However, I want it so that it looks in a realistic sense. And not everything looks like it's for a kid. Because that's sadly the stereotype that a lot of people go with now. Oh, this looks like a kid game. It's a kid console. No one's going to buy it. The only way they're going to be able to get back into the market is to start competing and getting those kind of games back. Because quite frankly, like it or not, that's where the industry is going. At least from the America side of things. So, like I said,
hope they don't do that.
I want to keep incorporations of both. Personally, I don't want them to just drop fantasy and go real. I don't want them to go with the stereotype sort of consoles, because then everybody's gonna be like, oh, they're just following with the waves now. I want them to incorporate both, so they can have both senses together and make something unique and amazing.
I mean, while we're on the subject of Nintendo VR, they kind of did make the first Oculus, like way back in 1995. Do you remember that, the Virtual Boy?
Yep.
That stands on a freaking like a camera tripod or something, and it has a controller, and you just like look inside this like old goggles and play with a controller.
Or back in the days when there was Duck Hunt. I mean, they've made huge leaps in our gaming industry. That's what I'm saying, though, is they could potentially do it again. This is a spot right now that people are looking into virtual reality and starting to make positive things, and they could potentially expand their branch and make something even better. They could literally turn back to the way they were when the Nintendo Wii first turned out, and nobody heard of motion gaming up until that point. Much motion gaming.
Maybe I just kind of have a biased opinion on it, because one of the things I respect about Nintendo is the fact that they have stayed so true to their own style.
Also, don't forget the definition of insanity is doing it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, hoping for a better outcome, though. So let's not forget that as well.
That's more like repeating the same mistakes, hoping that a better outcome.
Yeah, but we've kind of seen some of the other games outside of the Mario and Legend of Zelda that have tried to stay with that kind of franchise, you know.
But then they stopped making, like the Virtual Boy was discontinued like the same year.
Mm-hmm.
But,
there's a lot of things that, again, this is another topic that we could seriously take a whole podcast to talk about. But we have other things to talk about. Let's get back and talk about Project Morpheus a little bit, because we talked about Steam's and we talked about Nintendo's potential. Let's talk about what Project Morpheus looks like. Again, the image is gone now, but
speaking of, before we get into that, I just wanted to say that the Steam VR headset is supposed to be released like later this year.
That's
like late this year.
I was just gonna say it's like toward at least
like
September, October. Yes, I was just gonna say September, October. It was supposed to be projected. So,
that being said,
is there a release
Sony,
on that?
Morpheus is planned to be released in the first half of 2016.
Okay. Steam, I give props to Steam for being, I think, the first person to launch it then, because that's going to be, again, if market
that's going to be one of their staples.
My side being in business for this long is marketing is a big thing, and if they can market that hugely in the start, they could actually have some serious potential behind the Steam VR. I would love. I'm actually kind of excited. I hope that I can get a chance to try the Steam VR when it comes out. And if I do, I'll talk about it on the next podcast. So,
but
just a heads up.
Yes, Morpheus.
Back on the yep.
It's supposed to have a 5.7 inch like face display.
This thing is,
and it's going to be in 1920 by 1080 RGB resolution.
Yep.
Apparently, it has a 120 hertz refresh rate, which is pretty good.
The specs. I knew a while back when they made a rumor about this that they were talking about how this was supposed to look really, really phenomenal, and like compared to the current Oculus Rift back then, which is the first Oculus Rift development, it was gonna look like super masterful. But then, of course, Oculus Rift made another one, and they're like, "Screw you guys." So.
Oh yeah, I forgot Oculus Rift came out with an improved version of their thing.
Yeah, they came out with the improved one, had a better gyroscope behind it, so you can actually look side to side like that, and it'll actually track that motion as well. And I think you could still kind of, you can do that, just like we did, just like our signature thing. Anyway, before we continue on with that random stupidity, yeah, I like this design is quite interesting, though. Like, it's like this big white headband, and then it's just this thing. It almost looks like a really big pair of sunglasses that just protrudes out your face, and you just like can clap it down.
That's one thing I think I do like about it is that it's not the goggles and then it straps around this way. It's more like it straps up top
on the forehead.
Yeah, and the goggles just kind of hang down to your eyes.
I think it might just be the person that's modeling it that I'm kind of confused about. I think that might be the other reason why I'm kind of like, what the heck? Because I can't imagine myself, and I think it's because I can't imagine myself yet, because I've never tried a virtual reality set. So that's one of my goals. I want to go to a conference one day, and so I can actually play on one of these systems. That's my goal. I'm going to make it happen. And you're going to come with me, Addy. And we're going to have our first ever live panel of JayCast. It's going to be one day in the future we're going to be able to do that.
It's going to be crazy.
It's going to be awesome.
Actually, I feel like it's not going to be that weird because we've done this so many times. It'll just be like it's going to be like that we've never not met before.
This is our 19th episode, so this is going to be pretty pimpin'. I'm pretty excited. We are really, this is becoming a fun podcast. And if you don't share it with your friends, then you are not my friend. Guilt trip. All right, I think we have everything we want to talk about today. I think we should be all set to go. Actually, one more thing. So we talked about the HoloLens earlier, right, Yeti?
Yeah.
Well, one of the chief developers.
Oh yeah, bad news.
We have a little bit of a hiccup.
What?
With the process, because the developer's gone. You know what I mean. Continue.
I've never heard. Anyway, one of the designers who was working on the HoloLens was killed in a car accident. He was rear-ended by a drunk driver who was driving at like 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, very sad day.
And the guy tried to get away. Like I don't know how he survived the crash, but the guy who hit him. Oh, the developer's name is Mike. His last name is spelled E-Y.
Okay.
But one of the guy who hit him apparently survived well enough to try and escape on foot. and there was a witness account of somebody who was driving, and his car, the person who hit him, like flew by the witness and missed him by like 4 inches, and then he saw him a couple seconds later, like at the scene of the wreck.
Yeah, it's definitely a sad day. Thoughts and concerns go all the way out to the family, and hopefully things go well for his family. And if you guys know about this, again, we'll try to put links in the description below. I have a list of them I'll put down in the description. So definitely been a great week so far. We definitely have had plenty to talk about today. This is probably one of our longer podcasts that we ran today. So I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did today. Fantastic topics all around. Fantastic people. Well, at least just me. And
That's because I'm magnificent.
Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. And as you guys remember, I mentioned that SoundCloud, that our episodes will be also linked on the SoundCloud down below. I found out that I'd have to get a pro account, so I have to do some research on the pro account behind that. So, for now, the first 8 episodes, are up on SoundCloud, bit.ly.com/JayCast or SoundCloud.com/JayCast if you don't like my bit.ly links. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today, and I am Jay, wishing you a wonderful day.